domestic violence, identity theft, sexual assault, homicide, human trafficking, elder abuse.
Being a victim of a crime can be a devastating experience for survivors and their families.
While these crimes differ, some of the effects may be similar.
Confusion, economic hardship, physical injury, feelings of isolation.
If you or someone you know is a survivor of crime, the Office for Victims of Crime wants you to know that you have rights and there is help.
The Crime Victims' Rights Act was passed by Congress to guarantee fundamental rights to victims of crime.
And most states have taken action to guarantee rights for crime victims.
These rights include
the right to be reasonably protected from the accused offender,
the right to have input at sentencing, such as providing a victim impact statement,
the right to information about the imprisonment and the release of the offender,
the right to be treated with fairness and with respect.
If you are a victim, these rights apply to you.
The Office for Victims of Crime provides money to states, federal agencies, and other organizations that serve victims throughout the United States.
Money from the Office for Victims of Crime supports two types of programs: state-run victim assistance programs and state-run victim compensation programs. Victim assistance programs provide direct services such as crisis intervention, counseling, emergency shelter, and criminal justice advocacy.
Victim compensation programs compensate victims for eligible expenses related to their victimization.
Expenses may include medical cost, mental health counseling, funeral and burial cost, and lost wages.
If you or someone you know is a victim of crime, there are resources.
As a result of the dedicated efforts of victim specialists, legal advocates, and criminal justice personnel, there are thousands of programs and trained professionals across the nation ready to provide you with help.
For more information on how to obtain help, visit www.ovc.gov/help.
As stated in the video, help is available for Wisconsin residents who are victims of crime. The Crime Victim Compensation Program, or CVC, helps crime victims and their immediate families with the financial costs of eligible crimes. It can cover crime-related costs such as counseling, medical treatment, funerals, and loss of income not paid by other sources. A complete listing of eligible or compensable crimes can be seen at the on-screen link. All victims have the right to apply for crime victim compensation. However, in order to be eligible, the state of Wisconsin has additional requirements. The state defines a victim as someone who is injured or killed. Injured means actual bodily harm, and it includes pregnancy and mental or psychological trauma. It can also include someone who was injured while preventing a crime, aiding a police officer in apprehending a suspected criminal, and aiding a victim. Many victims work with a crime victim advocate. These people assist survivors and family members with completing and submitting CVC applications. They also communicate with the CVC team regarding special circumstances and provide needed documentation. Crime victim advocates make the process easier, as many victims and survivors can find it overwhelming to talk about the crime. In Wisconsin, crime victim advocates help survivors through the process and can be found in a variety of places, including domestic violence shelters, DA victim and/or witness advocates, and hospital liaisons, just to name a few. The state of Wisconsin works with claims specialists to determine CVC program eligibility. The requirements include: the crime incident must have happened in Wisconsin. If the victim lives in Wisconsin but the crime occurred in another state, the victim would be directed to that state's CVC program. The crime incident must have been reported to law enforcement within 5 days. The victim needs to apply to the CVC program within 1 year of the crime. The victim can have committed a crime at the time of the incident or contributed to a crime or injury. Once the victim has applied, the claims specialist will determine what, if any, costs will be reimbursed. The Crime Victim Compensation Fund includes compensation for expenses in the following categories: funeral and burial, medical, dental, and mental health, property held as evidence or destroyed by crime lab testing, crime scene cleanup, securing a crime scene, parental loss wages and mental health expenses when the victim is a minor, net wage loss, and loss of support. The CVC program considers all collateral sources and is a payer of last resort. This means that if a victim has health insurance, vehicle insurance, life insurance, or any other benefits that would cover some or all of the costs associated with the crime, those must be used before the CVC will make a payment. Once other collateral sources have paid, the CVC can pay any eligible out-of-pocket costs. The program typically does not consider programs like GoFundMe as a collateral source, as those funds can be used for anything the recipient chooses to spend it on, based on their needs. Wisconsin state law limits payments to no more than $40,000 and places a 4-year limit on all claims. The claim will be closed if it reaches a $40,000 maximum or if it reaches a 4-year time limit, whichever comes first. The time limit begins from the date of the crime. For adults who are victimized as children, the time limit begins from the application date. Another limitation to be aware of is that parents of minor victims only receive a maximum of $3,000 total benefits for both mental health and lost wages. In addition to the CVC, the OCVS also oversees the SAFE Fund, which sometimes overlaps with CVC, as a victim may be eligible to apply for both. The SAFE program reimburses healthcare providers for the cost of a forensic medical exam for victims of sexual assault. Please note that the SAFE Fund only makes payments directly to hospitals and clinics. For other medical expenses, the victim can apply to the CVC. These can include Plan B, mental health expenses, follow-up medical care, and lost wages. However, additional requirements are needed to qualify for the CVC, such as reporting the crime to law enforcement, which is not required by the SAFE Fund. Unfortunately, sometimes CVC applications are denied. Some of the most common reasons for denial include committing a crime, contributory conduct, no compensable crime, and being on the child support lien docket. Once a claim has been denied, claimants have 30 days to appeal by requesting in writing a contested case hearing. The appeal process is always outlined in the denial decision, which is mailed to the applicant. Now that we've explored a bit about what the CVC is and what it can offer, let's take a more in-depth look at the application form. We're covering this because application mistakes can happen, and any mistakes slow down the process. The front page of the CVC application should stay with the applicant or victim as a reference guide. The top section on the first page is for victim information. This includes victims who are deceased or juveniles. This section must be filled out as completely as possible. The middle section of the first page is for information about parents, guardians, or other family members when the victim is juvenile or deceased. Directly below that is where to enter victim advocate information. The top of the second page requests information about the crime. It's extremely important to include the date the crime was committed, the date the crime was reported, and the law enforcement agency where the report was filed. If this information is missing, the CVC can't request the police report or make an eligibility determination. This means the claims specialist would need to follow up with the applicant to either get this information or help the applicant find the crime information, which delays the process. While the name of the officer who took the report isn't necessary, it can be helpful if we need to figure out what agency investigated the crime. In this section, the application includes information about the date and location of where medical treatment was provided. The applicant should also include if they have or plan to seek mental health treatment. Completing this section helps the CVC team determine what forms and letters to mail out. The more information provided on the initial application, the better. The assigned claims specialist reviews everything and will provide direction on what else may be needed to move forward. Finally, it's crucial for the applicant to sign and authorize the form. If this is missed, the application is marked as incomplete and returned for a signature, which significantly delays the process. Now that we've gone through what the CVC is and how to fill out the application, let's end by reviewing where to go for more help. Complete information about the CVC, including eligibility, compensation, and the application process, can be found on the DOJ website at the on-screen link. We also offer CVC-specific brochures and the application form for you to download. Remember, if you're a victim of crime, help is available. The Crime Victim Compensation Fund can provide information, resources, and financial assistance. Crime can affect your life in a variety of ways, including physically and mentally, and the CVC is here to help. This is the contact information for the CVC Program Director, claims specialists, and program assistants. We encourage anyone to contact us at any time by phone or email with questions.